My name is Mashiva King. I'm from SRP Unerased. This is our second Table Talk Thursday, and today we have Lilia Bundles. She's the author of On Her Own Ground, The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker, the 2001 New York Times notable book about her entrepreneurial great-great-grandmother, and the inspiration for Self-Made, the fictional Netflix series starring Octavia Spencer. That must have been really exciting.
Very.
A former network television news executive and producer of ABC News and NBC News, Ms. Bundles is a vice chair emerita of Columbia University's Board of Trustees and chair of the board of the National Archives Foundation. So we're going to start. Madam C.J. Walker was born just 4 years after slavery ended, right? Coming of age in the post-Reconstruction era, grinding poverty and brutal violence against the new emancipated people. Now, set the scene for us to better understand her rags to riches story.
So, Madam C.J. Walker was born Sarah Breedlove in December of 1867, first child in her family born free on the same plantation in Delta, Louisiana, where her parents and older siblings had been enslaved. And it was the area where General Grant had staged the siege of Vicksburg. So it was a devastated area after the Civil War, but it was 90% Black.
Oh, wow.
Because all the people who were needed to grow the cotton. It was a very wealthy area before the war, but by the time she was born, and then in the ensuing years, essentially the Ku Klux Klan and the Confederates were taking back control. So Black people had political power for a brief period of time. Her family minister was elected to the state Senate, but by the election of 1876, the Confederates had taken back control. Her parents died when she was 7. She orphaned at 7. She moved in with an older sister, but her brother-in-law was so cruel. She said that she got married at 14 to get a home of her own. She married a man named Moses McWilliams. They had one daughter, Lelia. He died when she was 20, and she then, as a young widow, moved up the river from Delta, Louisiana to St. Louis, where her older brothers, who had moved out with her family minister, they'd been chased out by the Klan. They had moved to St. Louis a decade earlier, 1888. She moved to St. Louis, was a washerwoman, but it was the women of St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church who embraced Sarah Breedlove and began to give her a vision of herself as something other than an illiterate washerwoman.
Wow. And so fascinating that I want to say that it took you, how long did it take you to do all the research and put all of this together?
You know what? I'm still doing research. But so I first started doing research about Madam Walker and really more Lilia Walker, who was more fascinating to me when I was a young person because she knew the Harlem Renaissance people, but when I was in high school, so literally more than 50 years ago. But the focus on doing the research on Madam Walker, it began when I was in graduate school at Columbia in the mid-70s. I wrote a paper about Madam Walker for my master's paper in journalism. And then in the early 80s, Alex Haley approached us because he wanted to do a mini-series and a book. So I became the chief researcher for that. Then I ended up writing a young adult biography that came out in 91. And then On Her Own Ground came out in 2001. So during that it was really a 20-year period where I was doing research about her. And the core of the story is what I began to develop, because what I knew about her is that my mother went to work every day at the Walker Company. And the story, she was vice president of the Walker Company. And the story was, Madam Walker, born on a plantation, started a hair care company, became a millionaire. But all of those family details, those were things that I had to research.
Okay. Let's talk about Madam, the race woman, and the meaning of those words. The philanthropist who was allied with Ida B. Wells and the NAACP. the stalwart of Black economic development, and a visionary who would be the first Black woman millionaire.
Yeah, this is what really interested me because the real when I was growing up, again, my mom was vice president of the Walker Company, and most people thought about Madam Walker is she did some hair, she was a hair lady, and they thought she invented the hot comb. So I had no time for that. I wasn't interested in that, and then
I said, I have to admit, that's all I knew about her too.
Right, exactly. But it wasn't true. And it wasn't that I wanted to wear an afro. So I was really had no time for that. Right. But it was what most people knew. And so I was really glad when I discovered that wasn't true. What she was really doing was creating hair care products to heal dandruff and to heal scalp disease. But then as I began to really go beyond the sort of the myth of her, to discover that she had been influenced by these progressive women of the club movement, that as she began to make money, she was politically conscious. That seed had been planted with the family minister who was the state senator, that she was a race woman. And she spoke at her convention in 1917. She urged her agents to be politically active. They sent a telegram to President Woodrow Wilson urging him to support legislation to make lynching a federal crime. But one of the big discoveries for me that just, made me love Madam Walker totally is that I discovered that she and Ida B. Wells had been spied upon by a Black spy who worked for the War Department. Because, there's always somebody Black who will do that wrong thing. But they were spied upon because they were speaking out about the rights of Black soldiers who were being discriminated against in the military. And they were trying to go to France. They were with Monroe Trotter to participate in the peace talks, and they were labeled in this private military intelligence division report as Negro subversives. So that was like the Nixon's enemies list. So when I saw that Madam Walker and Ida B. Wells were fighting the fight, I loved it.
Fighting the fight together. They weren't fighting the fight against each other.
Right.
And
exactly.
So we were made to believe that.
Right.
So
and I would say that was, that building a business is obviously incredible, and that she had such a talent for bringing people together, her C-suite, as we would call it now,
right. Mm-hmm.
Where she brought, really smart people. And that, I think that's part of the reason she's more remembered than some of her competitors, is that she surrounded herself with these really talented, competent people, and she managed them well. But it's also this idea that she left a legacy of activism. And I think that's really key to why we remember her.
So I have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
What's next for you?
Oh, gosh.
We know you're working on the book about Madam's only daughter.
That's right.
It was like a sneak peek, a little, whet appetite.
So listen, I'm gonna lean forward. You're gonna see me go off screen for a second, but I'm gonna reach for something. Okay, so this is my treasure right now. So this is so my trip abroad. This is A'Lelia Walker's trip diary from her trip between November 1921 and April of 1922.
Wow.
She went to Paris, London, Nice, Naples, Rome for the coronation of the Pope, Israel, Palestine, Djibouti, and Addis Ababa and Cairo. Addis Ababa, she met the Ethiopian empress. And she talks about her trip. I mean, she's like most of us. She didn't write something every single day. But I have enough where, in Paris, she was a Folies Bergère. She was, going here and there. So I'm writing this story about her because much of what has been written about her is just kind of this caricature and two-dimensional. And I'm sorry. I loved Octavia Spencer in Self-Made, but the character, the A'Lelia Walker character, was it didn't have anything to do with her in real life. So I'm really excited about that. there's some things I can't talk about yet that are, that are coming, but you and I will have to do
Okay.
another IG live. Some other productions that I'm working on.
Oh,
I'm
definitely.
excited.
Definitely. I'm excited about it. I know that Miss Walker, she spent some time in Harlem. If I'm wrong, please tell me. But I know that
Yep,
she's
yep.
like a Harlem icon, right? And so
Right.
anything New York, I'm interested in. I'm interested in her traveling. I've been to Djibouti, and so to
Oh,
hear,
really?
yeah, I did a 19-day trip in the Middle East with a co-worker, Carolyn Malachi, and we stopped in Djibouti. We had a great time, but I would love to hear what Miss Walker, her experience was in Djibouti.
And I don't know the details of that trip. I just know that she was in Europe, and then she took a, sort of a luxury ship to Alexandria, stayed in Alexandria in a lovely hotel, and then took a train to Cairo, went to the pyramids. I actually have some pictures of her at the
So that's
pyramids.
exciting.
And then, then did the Holy Land thing, and then took a ship from Palestine to Djibouti. But all I know that she was there because she then took the train from Djibouti to Addis. And when I was pulling this together, because Black newspapers are just so great about, just little clues, and then I have to
Right,
fill in
right.
the blanks. And I'm like, I didn't know about this train initially. The French had actually built this train. One of the emperors in Ethiopia had requested it. But I'm like, I know Amelia Walker did not make this trip by mule. So I needed to find out how she made the trip.
Right.
And it was by train. I know sis was not
I
doing the
cannot wait.
donkeys.
Not coming to Harlem. That I can't wait till we get back online to discuss the book. So we are looking forward to you coming back and talking more about it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I know that you've been busy all week, and we're so appreciative. The whole SRP Unerased team is excited about what you're doing, and hopefully again we'll get back together again
Well,
soon.
I'm a big fan of Gwen's and just
Yeah,
everything that she's done through the decades. So
yeah. She
really
has done.
happy to be a part of this.
Yeah, she's amazing, and she brings us together, and she works us, and I'm just appreciative to be a part of the team. So,
All right,
well,
sis.
have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.